Today was obviously the beginning of my August goals. Um, I wrapped up my third draft of my novel the other day, and so now I am basically on to the August goals, which I covered the day before. The first one, though, the first one I mentioned I was going to get done was going to be editing that short story that I had worked on previously. And again, I have no timetable on when I'm going to submit it. I basically given myself just a week, just 1 week to edit it, to play around with it, just to have a little bit of fun going through it, and really as just a means of getting my mind off my current novel, just to take away from the project. It'll just take a step back, and just sort of clear my head of that. And going into my new day job now, going into that, I'm obviously not going to be having any kind of vacation the rest of, probably for most of the year. Just obviously with me starting out, I don't have a whole lot of vacation time. And there's also, the idea that, my 5 month sabbatical, right? That was the vacation in a sense, obviously I took it to work. But the fact that you're sort of working on your own projects, working on, spending your time working on things that you care about, that's in the modern context considered a vacation. So there's definitely there's not me complaining at all by any means. But when I was going through this project today, I gotta tell you, this week feels like the vacation. This week feels like a vacation now. Just getting up, going to work basically for a few hours. It's obviously 8, but when I say a few, I mean it's not the whole day. Working 8 hours and then getting a chance to come back and basically work on this project here. It feels like a vacation. It feels like I'm sort of doing something fun. In part because obviously it's a new project, and there's always that new energy doing a project, and also because there's no expectations. I haven't put any sort of weight behind it. It's not like the novel where I am, trying to get this submitted, within 6 months. I'll put I'm not trying to get this submitted within the next 6 months. I'm not putting a lot of weight behind, getting this. So potentially that can be the thing that kind of gets my foot in the door, in terms of being an author and publishing and all that stuff. There's not a whole lot of weight behind this one. So with that, you're sort of doing this just out of pure love, just to sort of out of a sense of just enjoying the process, which, yes, I enjoy the process, when I'm working on the novel, but there's no stress, there's no extra added pressure, so it just feels like a fun time. And that is so crucial. That has to be one of the most important elements in the process, but that's also important just in anything that you're doing, is the idea of sort of stepping away from the project that's going to put, that's going to give you the greatest odds of achievement. Stepping away from that and working on something that's maybe a bit more skill development, less actual pressure, just something you do just for the fun or just for the general skill development, which is what I'm doing here. I've talked before about the idea of you're going after that one project that's going to be life-changing. If you're a writer and you're trying to get published, always try and push for the project that's going to go the furthest. It's going to kind of give you the most reward. In other words, if it's between working on a short story or working on a novel, and the short story is this really amazing story that potentially could get into some really top tier magazine, you think, and you're feeling it, then yeah, go after that thing's going to be that thing could be the thing that launches you. Conversely though, if you've got a really good idea for a novel and it's something basically that you think has a good chance of getting published, go after that one, because that novel right there is going to be the thing that's going to get you potentially the agent, potentially the publisher, potentially going to get you maybe a second book deal there. It's always pushing the projects that have that sort of yield the highest reward is always important, and focusing solely on those. But within that, you need to take time to sort of work on other things that are in the same vein, but that sort of are re-energizing. because the process is very long. Any kind of project you do, the process is long, especially for a novel. It's a long process. You see me on here every day for almost 200 days now. A lot of it's very long. A lot of it looks very boring. A lot of it at times feels very boring. But what you get out of that, though, obviously at the end, is obviously, hopefully, fingers crossed, is perhaps a nice reward there. But even so, even with that, the idea of eventually a payoff doesn't always sustain you, right? Even knowing that this, getting this book done could potentially be, I won't say, probably may not be life changing, but it can be a huge achievement. Even with that doesn't always sustain you in the process. When you're in the middle of it, you can't see the forest from the trees, as that expression goes. When you're in the middle of it, sometimes the goal doesn't always really carry you. And so doing other projects to sort of re-energize and kind of remind you why you enjoy this process of writing is important. And that's really what the short story is about this week, is really focusing on that. So with that, I'm going to leave that right here. Looking forward, though, to the next few days of just getting up and just honestly just sitting here and kind of the quiet relaxation of editing. It's the short story I'm working on. It's a good one. I think it's very strong. Obviously needs a little bit of work. It's gonna have basically just one draft of it done so far, so it needs some work. But I'm liking it, and it's, again, very fun, and there's not, when you don't tell any kind of pressure or anything, it feels amazing. And that's, again, this week is all about that. It's all about kind of no pressure and just sort of taking it easy on this project.